All right, so we had the first press conference for Oleksandr Usyk, Daniel Dubois 2. Fight only announced on Sunday, and we're already into the kind of media end of it, which is good. So we got plenty of time to sell this. The fight, it's actually quite rare when you think about it that we do press conferences this soon before, because July is a decent amount of time away if you think about it. Like, I mean, the start of February was when we, or the middle of February, actually, the end of February, actually, was when we had the press conferences for Ben Eubank. So it was less than 2 months before fight night. This is a while away. So they're really, I reckon this is going to be a big, push for this fight. But in terms of the press conference, my initial thoughts on it, how was it? It was interesting, to say the least. The press conference that Usyk and Fury had last November, October in London was better in my opinion. This was messy. It was, well, obviously this is a rematch, and the first time around, Oleksandr Usyk handily beat Daniel Dubois. Handily beat him. Stopped him in 9 rounds. And yes, I will say that, yep, Daniel Dubois is an improved fighter. He certainly is. He has a new lease of life to him. He's got more confidence to him. So he's not necessarily dealing with the same Dubois he fought 2 years ago. However, right, all that Team Dubois... Now, in fairness to people like Frank Warren, they're saying it in the past, and this, that, and the other, but they're still alluding to the low blow, which is exactly what it was. And Don Charles, ever the fool. That's all I got to say about him. I'd never really seen much of Don Charles, right? I knew he trained Chisora for many years. He trained Frank Buglioni briefly in his career. But I'd not really seen much of Don Charles in the public eye. I just hadn't. And the first real interview I listened to, I think it was with Box Nation. And it was just after Joshua versus Dubois. And he came across very well in that interview. Very well. Talking about the struggles he had as a trainer, fighters, leaving him and this, that, and the other. He came across, again, I thought, very well in that interview. Boy, was that a false dawn. Since then, wow. That's all I got to say on that. And this was no different. Listen, right? Whatever your opinion on Usyk is, right? That shot was ruled low by the referee. All right? I think Louis Pabon refereed it. It was ruled low by him. Oleksandr Usyk then has 10 minutes. 5 minutes. He then has 5 minutes in order to, regroup. He doesn't have to take the full 5. I think he took about 3 or so. Talksport were saying 4 minutes and stuff. They're very specific, aren't they? But at the end of the day, he took a couple of minutes well within the rules. All right? Don Charles was trying to allude and insinuate that Oleksandr Usyk was planting that seed in the referee's head. Well, Don Charles, you who had the absolute audacity to question the man's fate because you call him a cheater. Well, maybe there's an element of truth to one thing you were saying. Maybe the referee was a little bit more aware about what Dubois was doing. Oh, I don't know, Don Charles. Maybe because your guy was saying that he'll do whatever he has to do to win, even if it means bending the rules. And yes, he was saying that in the build-up to the fight. Don't hear you having a go with Dubois over that, Don Charles, do we? So having a go with Oleksandr Usyk for that, and then insinuate, it's Usyk. Once you gain a certain level, you get, all these perks. Where were they against Tyson Fury? Weren't there then, were they? No, you had to fight everyone in that fight. Literally. Seemed like you had to fight absolutely everyone, certainly the first time around. So Don Charles making an absolute fool of himself, as he often does these days. And then he had the audacity to say, and I think he maybe knew, because he kind of backtracked on this a little bit. He said words to the effect of, I challenge anyone with an independent jury or whatever it is to look at that low blow, neglecting the fact that they appealed that with the WBA. And what did the WBA do after appeal? They ruled it was low. Bit like Don Charles' IQ, it seems. So that was Don Charles being a fool at this press conference. Other than that, it was Daniel Dubois. You're never going to get much out of him. It's the way it is. Oleksandr Usyk, he seemed in a good place. He seems, as I said, he seems content. He seems happy where he is in his respective career. I think he knows that the end is nigh. Not in terms of, him being shot to bits or anything like that, but this is the twilight of his career essentially. But it is nice to see that he is still taking everything very serious. He stood up and just said, "Look, we are training. We go to train," and that was really it. Dev Sani was trying to stir some needle. You could tell that he was trying to stir some needle. He brought in George Fox, I think his name is, who is the son of Don Charles, who had a bit of a bit of a sparring session with words with Oleksandr Usyk yesterday. Let's just leave it at that. And yeah, I don't think Team Dubois, I don't think are endearing. I got the impression looking at this press conference that Team Dubois are not going to be endearing themselves to the public, because Oleksandr Usyk is loved by the British public. He earned a lot of respect, and you'll find out with British fight fans that if someone, whether it be Ukrainian, wherever, American, if they come to the UK and they beat their fighter, they beat him well, they get a lot of respect from the UK fans, and it's impossible not to like Oleksandr Usyk because he is such a genuine character, and he is a character and tremendous fighter as well. And when he fought Tyson Fury, you could see videos of people in pubs up and down the country, and they were cheering, even up north, they were cheering for Oleksandr Usyk. And when he was there in London for Chisora versus Joyce, again, as soon as he went into the arena, a rapture of cheers. So Oleksandr Usyk is known and he's loved by the British fight fans. There are going to be some who don't like him for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, I think he's loved by the British fight fans. So he will probably go. And again, Team Dubois are not doing themselves, I know they probably don't care, but they aren't doing themselves any favours in terms of endearing themselves to the public with the behaviour they were doing, certainly today and yesterday. So let's wait and see. With Dubois, he's saying that the last fight won't play on his mind or anything like that. I'm sure it probably won't. I'm sure not much plays on his mind. But I'm sure there's people playing in his mind, but I don't think he ain't doing much else. But yeah, I'm sure that he will. Look, we're going to get a good fight. It's going to be a competitive fight. It was just a bit of a messy press conference, I'm not going to lie. It was a bit of a messy one. And yeah, that's my thoughts. I will look forward. Do you know what I hope the Zone do? The Zone did it was the Zone. The Zone did the face-offs that like normally Ade does and stuff like that. The Zone do a lot of them. They did two. Well, actually TNT did one with Fury and Usyk in the rematch, and then the Zone did one themselves. I forget who was there with them. I can't remember who was there with them. Blimey, I can't remember who it was. But I don't think it was Ade. Pretty sure it wasn't Ade. But they did one where they watched the first fight back. And that was so good and so entertaining. And I loved it because you really got an insight into both fighters. And I hope they do it for this fight. I really, truthfully hope they do it for this fight, so we can really see what's said. I did like the fact Oleksandr Usyk got Frank Warren and Daniel Dubois to sign the photos of the low blow and stuff like that. That was a bit like what he did with Tyson Fury with the Agent 47 reference. So that was a bit of a laugh. But other than that, it was a bit of a messy press conference. Again, it's not going to really give much away as to who I think is going to win. I think it's going to be Oleksandr Usyk again, most likely. But I'm expecting a good competitive fight nonetheless. Let me know your thoughts on this press conference in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Filming with Ade tomorrow. It is our last remote one, hopefully, because Ade is away on Thursday for a couple of days, and I'm not back in London until next week. So last remote one will be tomorrow. It'll probably go out on Friday. We'll obviously do our Q&A, Addy and G-Man Q&A, which we really enjoy doing. And I will just say, for people who are doing the Q&As or like questioning, we love the fact that it's not just boxing. So when we do the Q&A tomorrow, please, we'll answer boxing questions, but we have a lot of fun. And we had a lot of fun last week because I think there was like one boxing question. The rest were all just kind of like anything. So we love that. So hope you enjoyed the video. We look forward to chatting tomorrow on Addy and G-Man. That will go out on Friday. And for now, I'll leave it there. Peace.